So, you want to get started with Eurorack, and you may have already bought your first couple of modules. Now what? Unless you bought a complete system, you probably don't have enough modules yet to compose an entire track on just the modular. So in this video I'll show you a technique that works for everyone, even when all you've got is one module. Alright, so here's my unfinished rack. It's entirely DIY, except for this tiny Pico module. DIY is great, it saves a lot of money, but the downside is, it also takes a lot of time. But I'm not in a rush, and neither should you. Rack space is expensive, so don't feel the urge to fill it all up as quickly as possible. Take it one step at a time, and you get a whole lot more out of it. But let's imagine you've got a small rack with only one module. I actually started with Plaits myself, and this is a macro oscillator with all sorts of different oscillator modes. And it also has a trigger input, so you don't even need a VCA to use it. And yeah, I can connect this to a Beatstep Pro, for example, which by the way is a great sequencer for Eurorack, because it's got two mono sequencers and an 8-channel drum sequencer as well. Alright, but let me tell you one rule, even though there are very few rules with modular, but the one rule is this: always record everything. Even when you're just playing around, getting to know that new module, that's where the most amazing sounds come from. You've got no clue what this module is actually doing, and this can lead to some very interesting sounds. So hook it up to your audio interface, or in my case, the Digitakt 2, which currently can only record in mono. So I'm just using clouds right here, and if I connect the output from Plaits to the input, it turns it into a stereo signal. But clouds is bypassed at the moment, so it isn't doing anything. But the benefit of clouds is that it's got an input gain, because the Digitakt doesn't have an input gain control, and that prevents me from clipping, basically. Because as you may know, Eurorack works at a peak-to-peak voltage of plus and minus 10 volts, while your average line levels peak at a little over 1 volt. So you definitely need to bring down the output level. There are also dedicated Eurorack to line level output modules that will also balance the signal. But for a short cable run like this, that isn't really an issue. Alright, enough talking. Let me just record some random knob tweaking. Okay, so let's find an interesting part. On the Digitakt we can even use the grid machine. We can basically chop up the sample in different slices. Okay, let's come up with a cool random pattern. Okay, so let's say this is our first sound. Now what if you don't have a macro oscillator like Plaits? Maybe for some weird reason you started with a filter and a mult. No problem. Just take the output of the filter and send it to a mult. A mult is short for a multiplier, just a simple cable splitter basically. And now I can take one output and send that to clouds. And I can take another output and send that back to the filter itself, so we can create a feedback loop. Okay, so now when I turn up the input level, we've got an oscillator. So even with just a filter you can already do some cool bass lines. You can even crank the resonance if you want. In this case I can also switch the filter from low pass to band pass. Okay, so let's record some random knob twiddling. Okay, let's trim this. I think I need to tune it a little bit. Okay, now let's create a kick drum. I can also use this filter to create a kick drum. I just need to send an envelope to the filter CV input. CV input 1. Let's connect that over here. And now I'm going to use an output of my Beatstep Pro to trigger it. Connect that to the gate input. I've got a MIDI cable connected to the Beatstep Pro from the Digitakt. Let me add some triggers. Now you can see the LED lighting up. So I'm turning up the CV input now. So which means the filter opens up and closes back down immediately. And of course I can change the gate time or the release. I'm just gonna sample this and I'm gonna tweak the knobs during recording. Yeah, let's find a good sample. Oh yeah, these are cool. Let's trim it some more. Right. Okay, let's filter the bass a bit. Maybe add some envelope. And lower the level. And let's shorten this sound a little bit. Make it really short. Add some release. Maybe I'll change some of the slices. So I just need to change the note. This one actually sounds like a snare. Maybe we can copy this one. Copy. Paste. Or paste it over here. Yeah, that sounds cool. You can always add some more effects, of course. Bit reduction, overdrive, or some delay and reverb. Alright, cool. Okay, so now we just need some hi-hats. So in this case I've got a modulator from Eurorack Synths and it has a noise output. So I'll connect that to the filter input and connect the output of the filter to clouds, so to the output. Turn down the resonance. Ah, that sounded pretty cool actually. I'll connect back the gate output from the Beatstep to the envelope and reconnect the envelope to the filter input. I'm just gonna add some triggers every 8th note. Maybe even 16th notes. And if I want, I can turn up the sustain and then I can play around with the gate length on the Beatstep Pro. So for example, if I turn down all the gates all the way by holding shift and turning the first encoder, now everything is short, but now I can lengthen some of them. I could even connect another cable to the velocity output. In this case, the filter has 2 CV inputs. So if I connect the velocity over there and turn up the amount a little bit. Now I'm gonna do the same. Turn down the velocity on all the steps and just turn up some of them randomly. Turn down the release a bit. If I turn up the resonance, you can even create tones with this. Let's record that. And now I'm gonna tweak the velocity settings on the beat step and maybe tweak the filter cutoff a little bit. Yeah, let's find a loop. Yeah, maybe that one. Okay, in this case I'm gonna set a sample machine to warp. I'll just add a trigger on the first step and I'll change the length to 16, so 1 bar. Turn up the level. Okay, add some effects. Alright, yeah, you can keep going like this. So just record random knob movements. For example, the Plaits also has a drum mode, so we can even add some real snares. So in this case, I'm gonna trigger it from the beat step. Send the gate output to the trigger input. I'll get rid of these cables. Right, so we've only got Plaits right now. But also the other modes are really cool to experiment with. Okay, let me record that. Turn up the level. Let's get rid of some of the low end with a filter. Alright, you get the point. So that's all recorded with Modular. Basically using a filter, an oscillator and an envelope generator. That's it. Alright, I hope you get the point by now. There's really no need to wait until you've filled up that rack. Because before you know it, you need a bigger rack. And you never finish any music that way. So keep it simple. record everything you do, and have fun while doing so. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Download my free Modular Getting Started guide, and I'll see you next week with another tutorial.